Hi, this is Andrew with 555 Gear. Welcome to my kids' playroom.
Cheese.
What we're going to be doing is a gear vlog. I've been wanting to do this for a while. It will complement my tabletop reviews, and I figure I'll call it Gear Playtime. You think this is funny?
Yeah.
Basically, our gear, they're toys. First episode today, I want to talk about something that I get a lot of questions about, which is, where do I get my wristwatches? In order to really answer this question completely or comprehensively, I have to kind of comment on how large the industry is. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry, the watch industry. And so to have a short answer of where one would look for a good deal on a watch, the answer is really everywhere. You just have to be aware that there's all kinds of areas that you can look for watches online, in actual storefronts, and you might find a deal where you least expect it, and that's just part of the hobby. That said, there are some kind of main ways of approaching this that I think will give people some guidance. Now, some watches are famous for their dealers or their retail storefronts, and if you want to kind of take the mainstream route, you're going to want to just go to one of those places. So a great example is Rolex and Omega. These are two high-end Swiss brands where they really have pushed the retail experience. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to this. The advantages is that you know that you're getting something authentic. You're probably going to be treated like a king if the store knows what they're doing. And you're going to be able to go back to that store if you have any issues with your watch in the future, or if you need to get it serviced, which you will eventually if you have a mechanical watch. The disadvantages is you're paying a premium price, and you're limited sometimes in your selection. So for me, most of my shopping is actually online. And where I shop online depends completely on the kind of watch I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a watch that's widely available on the market, I'll be honest, I'm probably going to look for the best deal I can find, given a certain level of condition that I'm going to expect. So if I want a like new watch, but I want to get the best deal, the place I'll actually go are watch forums, where a lot of collectors will be trying out new things and then deciding they like them or not, and moving on to the next watch. Everyone recycles their collection on watch forums. And so if you're able to go on there and find certain sellers that are trustworthy, and you have to be careful about that, you're going to find very good deals. So a lot of good sales posts are on Watch You Seek, and sometimes you'll find great deals on Time Zone as well. And there are lots of forums for specific brands, and you'll find good deals there. Now, another place where I've definitely bought watches in the past is eBay. And there are reliable sellers on eBay as well, and you can even find nearly new stuff on eBay. Now, my opinion about eBay is that it's a roll of the dice, and you buy the seller. This is really a principle that's true for all of watch buying, but it's especially true of eBay. Now, you're going to take a real risk if you buy an unknown seller, and you might not get what you're expecting. I definitely have friends and fellow collectors who have lost a lot of money on eBay. It's not a risk that personally I'm willing to take. Now, there are other major retailers to look for watches depending on your price range. Amazon, for example, has a fantastic selection of Seikos and Citizens and kind of lower level Swiss watches like a Hamilton or a Tissot. I wouldn't go to Amazon probably for like an Omega. I would probably look for some dealer in the nearby area, or I would actually probably go to forums looking for a best deal there. Sometimes you might be able to find an Omega on eBay too from a reputable jeweler that just happens to have an eBay storefront. Other places to look for other kinds of watches, vintage watches for example, people automatically go to eBay, but there are actually some really great sites out there that sell watches that have been examined by a watch repairman. They'll have watches that are examined by a watchmaker, and in general, I think that that's a route that is worth pursuing, because then you're going to know the watch is going to be reliable, which is often a big question with vintage watches. One place that I like a lot is Analog Shift, and they have a wide variety of interesting vintage watches in a pretty manageable price range. HQ Milton is a place you go for higher end watches like a vintage Rolex, for example. Another place that you might want to look is on Instagram. There's a lot of guys on Instagram who are smaller scale guys selling watches for very reasonable prices. Watch Steez is an example of a guy that I heard of on Instagram who has a standalone website. Very nice looking little Best thing you can do when you're looking for a watch is ask questions to other fellow collectors. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Generally try to avoid MSRP prices. You will get markups for sure on certain kinds of brands. Invicta. Be a smart buyer. I hope you enjoyed this first vlog of 555 gear. I do have tabletop reviews coming. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoyed Gear Playtime episode 1.